Hello, and welcome to a special episode of the Sarah Seams podcast. My name's Sarah. I'm coming to you from Columbus, Ohio, where I live with my partner Troy and our cats Alex and Moo. This channel is where I share all about my crafty makes, mostly knitting. I do regular podcast episodes and occasionally vlog here or there, but today I'm coming to you with my first ever pattern roundup video. And this is not, like I said, not something I normally do. It's my first time doing it, but I felt a really specific need for this video because I was having trouble finding patterns like this myself when I had the itch to do some color work. So that is why I am here sharing these with you today. I'll be sharing 15 size inclusive classic color work knitting patterns today. So let me break that down a little bit before we dive in. Also, all of my social media information and all of the patterns and everything I'm going to talk about today will be linked below in the description box. First, I want to touch on what size inclusive means to me. I used the, I think, fairly standard up to 60-inch bust measurement that includes ease. So for example, if a pattern recommends 4 inches of positive ease, the largest finished bust measurement in the pattern would need to be 64 inches. And please, if you have any questions about that, let me know below in the comments, but that is the standard I used when choosing these patterns. I am going to be covering garments only today in a few different categories. So I have a vest, a couple of cardigans, then I'll have yoked sweaters, which is the largest portion, and then all over colorwork sweaters at the end. And I will be sharing the pattern name, the designer, the size range and intended ease, the general construction, and the cost of the pattern. And if you see me looking over, I do have quite a few notes, so that's what I'm looking at. And lastly, before we dive in, I did just want to give a general note that these specific patterns I'm sharing today are size inclusive, and I would say for the most part, the designers that I've chosen from are generally very size inclusive with their designs, with one exception, and I will share that exception when I get to it. But yeah, as I said, this was surprisingly hard to find this many patterns. I do also only have one pattern by each designer, so I'm also featuring 15 unique designers. A lot of these designers have additional beautiful color work patterns, but it shouldn't be as hard as it was to find 15 designers doing inclusive color work patterns. And I just, yeah, so I felt like I do feel like there is a hole in the market for these types of patterns in size inclusive ranges. So with that said, amble out of the way, let's jump into the patterns. Scoot over a little bit so I can put pictures up here. So the first one I'm going to share is a vest. This is the Flagship Vest by Espace Tricot. It is available up to a 65.5-inch bust, and the recommended ease is -2 inches to +2 inches. The yarn is a DK weight. It is knitted in the round, bottom up, and it has steeks for the armhole and the neck holes. So if you want to try steeking, this could be a great project. And also, this is a free pattern on Ravelry, which is so awesome. I've added it to my library. When I think about classic color work, this is pretty much exactly what I'm thinking of. That like Fair Isle, X's and O's, lots of different colors, this like linear design, the corrugated ribbing. So yeah, this one is super classic. I think it would be really cute in a lot of different colors. And it is really hard to find this type of color work specifically in size inclusive garments. So shout out to Espace Tricot for this new free vest pattern. Next up is a cardigan. So moving into cardigans, this is the Voyage. The design is by Woolen Pine. It is available up to a 66-inch bust and with a recommended 0 to 4 inches of positive ease. This is a fingering weight cardigan. It is also constructed bottom up. There is a steek at the center front, and then you pick up the sleeves and they're knitted on in the round. The pattern is $8.75. I'm gonna give all the costs in US dollars. And yeah, this one is just really fun. I think it was designed to be a scrap buster, like stash busting kind of project. Use lots of different little bits and bobs, but I think the pattern is really, really fun. I love how they paired it with like a neutral as the main color. And I think there are matching like hat and mittens as well if you wanted to do some Colorwork accessories. But yeah, really classic cardigan shape with this really fun colorwork on the body. Next up is the Anemo by Susan Crawford. And this is the one designer I wanted to touch on. I think their newer patterns are more size inclusive. A lot of people recommended Susan's designs to me when I kind of asked for designers in this vein. Many of them come close to that 60-inch standard. Most of them do not hit it, unfortunately. And most of Susan's older patterns, specifically the ones that were published in books, are not anywhere near that standard. So disclaimer with this designer, this is a size inclusive pattern, but a lot of them get close to it, but not quite. And a lot of the older designs are not size inclusive. But I love this cardigan so much, and I really wanted to include it. So this is, as I said, the Anemo by Susan Crawford. It is available up to a 66-inch bust. So the intended ease is not listed on the pattern on Ravelry. However, it says it is sized to fit up to a 66-inch bust. So I am assuming and hoping that that means the correct amount of ease is built in to fit that size. This is a fingering weight yarn. It is a bottom-up steeked construction. The sleeves are then picked up and knitted in the round, and it is available for $10.60. I think this garment is a very modern take on the Fair Isle cardigan. I think the shape of it is beautiful with this drop shoulder. I love that it just has these like bands of color work, and I'm a sucker for navy blue, so I love this color palette specifically with the navy and the white and the gray. This is one I will consider knitting at some point. All right, moving on to yoked sweaters. As I said, this is the biggest chunk of patterns that I have for you today, and I'm just sharing them in alphabetical order. There's no specific order to these. So the first one I want to share is the Bethlehem by the Petite Knitter. Here is a picture. This is one of the newest, if not newest, garment patterns from the Petite Knitter, not Petite Knit, the Petite Knitter. It is available up to a 66-inch bust with a recommended 3 to 5 inches of positive ease. This is a DK weight pullover with a top-down construction. I believe everything in this section has a top-down in the round yoke construction, and this one is available for $10.10. I think it's really striking. I love that it has the beautiful yoke with the traditional motifs. This one is just in 2 colors, so if you didn't want to jump in with quite as much color work, maybe this is a good place to start. But I love that it also has the little rice stitch or seed stitch, like the little dots of the color work throughout the rest of the body. All right, next up is one that was recommended by a lot of you when I put out a questionnaire about what patterns you'd recommend. This is the Birkin by Caitlin Hunter. It is available up to a 68-inch bust with recommended 1 to 5 inches of positive ease. It is a fingering weight sweater, top-down construction. This one is a bit more of an A-line, so it flares out a bit more at the hem, and it is available for $9. This one is super beautiful and classic. I love the multicolor version with the flowers and the greens, but I also love the 2-color version with the gray and the white. I think this is just a really beautiful classic colorwork sweater. I think Caitlin Hunter is a great size inclusive designer. I have knit a couple of her patterns. A lot of her colorwork's really beautiful. This one felt the most classic to me, so I'm hoping maybe in a future roundup I can share some of her other patterns with you all, but I know she is a really popular designer, so This one feels maybe a little bit out of the zone of the kind of thing she normally designs. They tend to be a little bit more like out there, I guess, but this is a super classic, beautiful yoked colorwork sweater. Okay, next up is Haven by Kate Oates. This is a new to me designer. The size range is very inclusive. It's up to an 80-inch bust with a recommended 8 to 12 inches of positive ease. So this one is meant to be a little bit more oversized. Fingering weight sweater, top-down construction. It is a $9 pattern. And this one really just jumped out at me. This designer has a lot of great size inclusive patterns. I thought the yoke motifs on this one were a little bit different, but still read as like pretty classic. And I liked the twisted rib, like a little bit of a funnel neck, and that it has more ease. A lot of these colorwork sweaters tend to be more fitted. I love that this one is a bit more oversized and it has these like blousier sleeves as well. So just kind of a different take on it here. Next up is another new to me designer. This is I hope I'm not pronouncing this wrong. It's Kesian or Kesian. It's Kesian, and all this will be linked down below, but it's the Kesian by Stephanie Earp. It is available up to 66-inch bust with a recommended 2 to 3 inches of positive ease. This is a worsted weight pattern, so if you're looking for something to knit up a little bit quicker on a larger gauge, this would be a good one. Top-down construction, $8 on Ravelry, and I love that this one is shown on a male and female model. You know, it's shown to be a unisex pattern. And I think the yoke motifs are really interesting on this sweater. I love the colors that they used in both versions, and it's like a little bit of a twist on like traditional motifs, but I don't know if they used a color changing yarn. It looks like maybe they did, but I think the effect is really nice. All right. Next up, one of my favorite designers. This is the Luma or Lumi by Sari Nordland. Sorry for butchering the pronunciation. This is available up to a 63-inch bust with recommended 2 to 3 inches of positive ease. It is a worsted weight pattern, so again, a little bit heavier gauge, top down in the round construction, and is available for about $8. This one I think just brings a little bit of a different feeling. This is more of a Scandinavian, you know, traditional design. I love that this one has the flowers and the leaves. Like, I just think it's really striking. And it also has the color work on the sleeves, which is a nice detail. I just love Sari's designs. I've actually been seeing a bunch of different versions of this one in particular popping up on Instagram lately, and they all look amazing. So this one is also on my personal to knit list at some point. All right, next we have Muntain by Heidi Kermeyer. This sweater is available up to a 70-inch bust with a recommended 3 to 7 inches of positive ease. It is a DK weight sweater made top down in the round. Pattern is available for about $8.50. And this one is also shown to be unisex on multiple models, which I love to see. This one is really striking, I think, especially that teal sample where they have the dark teal ground and the motifs like really pop. This one has a little bit more of a lopey vibe with those really pointed motifs. I didn't really include a like super traditional lopey style sweater because I do feel like they're a little bit easier to find, but this one kind of seemed like the best of both worlds, so I did want to include that, and I just loved the color schemes. All right, next is a pattern I had never seen before from a designer I am familiar with. So this is the Pheasant Pullover by Amy Christophers. And Amy designs the pressed flowers patterns. I've really been loving a lot of their designs recently, but this must be an older one because I had not seen it, but it is beautiful. So this is available up to a 62-inch bust with a recommended 2 inches of positive ease. So it is just coming in at that size inclusive mark. It is a fingering weight yarn. The construction is top down in the round and it is available for $7. Both samples are really beautiful. I love that you can see it on a dark ground and a light ground. I particularly love the dark brown version. I just love those colors. I think the motifs are very pretty and like soft, and I just really, really like this one. Another one I'm adding to my personal to make list. So pretty. All right, and the last yoke style sweater is Watercolored by Tiff Nealon. This one is coming in 1 inch shy of my size inclusive standard, but I decided to go ahead and include it because it is the only bulky weight pattern that I could find that I liked, that kind of fit the bill and was so close to being size inclusive. So please forgive me for including one that is just shy of the standard. It is available up to a 64-inch bust with a recommended 2 to 5 inches of positive ease. So it is within 1 inch of being truly, if it was 65-inch bust, it would be truly size inclusive. Fortunately, it is missing the mark by 1 inch, but as I said, you could still knit it within tolerance. So I did decide to go ahead and include it because it is a bulky weight pattern. And for those who want something that knits up more quickly, I thought this would be a great option. I also love that the main color is a hand-dyed yarn. That's not something that you see a lot in these colorwork patterns, and I think it gives a really nice effect. So this is also a top down in the round construction. The pattern is $9. And as I said, I think it's just really beautiful with that hand-dyed yarn as the main color. And then it does make the yoke look a bit more soft and like blurred out and watercolory, if you will, having that marled color in the background. So this one was just something different, which was why I wanted to include it, but did want to call out that it is just shy of being truly size inclusive. So, all right. Moving into the last few here and the last category, which are the all over colorwork sweaters. So if you want to go crazy and knit the whole thing in colorwork, this is going to be the category for you. And the first one is a total showstopper by a new to me designer. This is the Cavil Sweater by Cheryl J. Cox. I mean, just look at this thing. It is stunning, and the photo is beautiful as well. This one is available up to a 70-inch bust with 4 inches of positive ease recommended. It is fingering weight, and I'm guessing a little bit at the construction, but based on the tags on Ravelry, I think it is bottom up knit. The body, I think, would be, I don't know, it might be the whole thing might be seamed. Parts of it are definitely seamed and worked flat. So not a ton of construction information on this one on the Ravelry page, but it is just absolutely stunning. It is $7.50. And this one reminds me so much of that traditional Fair Isle colorwork where you have the bands of color in the background that are changing and the motif is solid. And I just love all the different motifs in here. I love the different print on the sleeves, you know, the star motifs on the body. It has this interesting kind of like funnel, like cowl neck almost. I just think if you want a big, impactful, amazing colorwork project, this is it. And this kind of pattern in a size inclusive range is so rare. It's just kind of a gem. Like, this is the kind of thing I initially started out looking for, but there's so little of it available in a truly size inclusive range that most of what you see here is a yoked sweater instead, because this kind of thing is just impossible to find. You know, there's all these beautiful Shetland sweaters and designers and famous, you know, people from that area that make these beautiful all over colorwork designs, like Marie Wallen, for example. Most of her patterns only go up to like a 48-inch bust, at most like 52. So that kind of thing is not often available in this size range. So I just really want to shout out this beautiful pattern in this size range. It's kind of amazing to me. So This is probably like the gem from the podcast. If you're really looking for that kind of color work in an inclusive size range, like this is one of the few people who's doing it. So definitely go check them out. All right, next is Colleen by Audrey Borrego. This one is available up to a 63-inch bust with -2 to +2 inches of ease recommended. It is a fingering weight top-down sweater. The cost is about $9. And this one, you have the option of just keeping the color work in the yoke or doing it all over in the body. This one is very fitted. I thought the motifs were really interesting and a little bit different. I like the super long ribbing on the cuff on this one. And I'm sure you could knit the whole thing in 2 colors like the sample photo, or you could introduce more colors if you wanted. But yeah, thought this one was kind of interesting. Next, and second to last, this one also very different. This is the Sotobosco by Knitting for Breakfast. It's available up to a 72-inch bust with a 3 to 6 inches of positive ease recommended. This one is a DK weight, top-down construction. The pattern is about $7. And this one is just really striking to me. I think the motifs are very delicate. I love the kind of like vining ones. I love the little checkerboards, but I especially love that the top third of the garment is a different background color than the bottom. So I think interesting use of color, interesting motifs, beautiful all over color work. Love to see it. And this one I would also love to make at some point. It looks just like a perfect like rustic colorwork sweater, but it still feels very feminine. All right, last one, and this one is kind of in a category all its own. This is the Strange Brew by Tin Can Knits. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this pattern. It's kind of a do-it-yourself, anything you want pattern, any gauge, which is great. If you can't find what you're looking for in the market, you can do it yourself using this pattern most likely. So it is available up to a 61-inch bust. The intended ease is not listed on Ravelry. So part of me is a little bit worried this one also would be coming in. I guess it's because you would choose the amount of ease that you want with this pattern. So assuming it's a little more fitted, I think it's nearing at least hopefully that size inclusive standard. I did want to include it because I think there's so much modification available with this pattern. Like I said, it's kind of a blank slate to like do your own thing. So I did want to go ahead and include it, but I don't know for 100% sure that it hits that standard that I set out at the beginning because it's not listed. That is my cat Moo joining us here for the end of the video. Please ignore him. But yes, so this pattern is a top down in the round yoke sweater. There is also a cardigan hack. You can knit it with anything from fingering all the way up to an Aran weight yarn. All the gauges are available in the pattern. You can do top down, bottom up. You can design your own yoke, or you can use the almost 100 like stitch patterns that come with it to do your yoke, or you can design your own. You can knit just the yoke, you can knit the whole body in color work. It really gives you all the options. So that is why I wanted to include it here as the last option. If you can't find what you're looking for and you feel confident enough, you can try making it yourself. The pattern is about $12, which is more expensive, but it does include so much information. So I do think that that would be worth it. So that's it. I have just those 15 to share with you today. I had a really fun time researching these. I'm sorry, please ignore the meowing. I'll wrap it up quick. I had a great time looking for these, and I do plan to maybe do another colorwork pattern roundup with some more like fun, non-traditional colorwork patterns, since these were all quite traditional, and maybe I'll be coming to you all with that in the future. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you to these designers for producing size inclusive patterns. And please let me know below if you think I missed a designer who's making great colorwork size inclusive patterns. I would love to hear about them. And you know, just your thoughts in general about how it can be challenging to find colorwork or any patterns in a size inclusive range. So yeah, curious to hear your thoughts, if you had any favorite patterns. And that is all I have for you today. Please let me know also if you decide to knit one of these. I would absolutely love to see and hear about it. So thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next time. Bye.